game was played during the 8th edition of the Kireka Open. It's currently underway in Uganda. It was played today, the 29th of December 2024. And this game was epic. I was just blown away. So the game is between Gong Thon from South Sudan and one of Uganda's finest International Master Emojong Elijah. So the game begins with c4 and then e5 and then g3, knight to f6, entering into an English opening known as the King's English variation, and then c6, and then finally d4. Black goes with bishop b4 immediately, and then white responds by blocking the king, and then after takes, and then this is where the first surprise of the game. Usually in this kind of setup, after bishop takes, it's usually like a natural move to pick up with the knight. During the game, white chose to pick up with the queen, which was quite interesting. I'm not sure why he did that. I'm sure he had plans of bringing the knight to b3 and maybe attacking forward, but during the game he went up and picked up with the queen. It's still a good move, but it's not very easily, most people don't go for it, so that was a very surprise move to me. So, and then here e4 immediately by black. Now this was also another interesting move because he capitalized. Since the knight was not on c3, I can now push this pawn forward. If the knight was on c3, he could not push this pawn forward because he could have lost the pawn. So black saw an opportunity and decided to maximize on it. So e4 was on the board, and then here d5. Now the moment I saw this move d5, to me it was a not necessary move in this position, simply because first of all you haven't finished your development, you haven't castled, and your king is still at the center. Trying to pushing this pawn forward, you'll have a lonely pawn on the d file, which you'll have to kind of defend, or unless you take out the e pawn so that you can protect it with your e pawn. But if you push it forward without any support, it becomes kind of a liability later in the game. So d5 was played, then takes. And as you can see, this pawn is already lonely, and it can easily become a target. So castles by black, and then here knight c3, finally protecting the pawn, and then here rook to e8, kind of utilizing the open file and protecting this pawn further. Since the knight had developed attacking the pawn, so rook to e8 was necessary. Then here e3, create room for the knight to come to e4 and to castle, so that was an unnecessary move. And then d6, and then h4. Now also this move h4, to me, I really didn't like it, simply because yes, you are kind of preparing to push the pawn forward. Maybe you had intentions of castling the queen side, but unless you commit your queen is when I usually see it necessary for you to move this pawn forward, especially if you have fianchetted your bishop on g2. So h4 was on the board, and then immediately bishop to g4, preventing castling, and then here knight g to e2 was played by white, and then here knight b2 d7, similarly by black. And then after castling the king side, this is where now Gong made the interesting move of this game. Now he moved the king to e7. For me, at first I didn't understand the importance of this move. First of all, in this kind of setup, it's usually kind of natural to bring a queen to b6 and then attack something like this pawn, and then white will try to defend it. Like most of the action usually take place on the queen side. You are trying to win your opponent on the queen side, and then also trying to bring kind of occupying the c file by your rook. But the move queen to e7 was really interesting and unexpected. But we are going to see how this move was very important during the game. Queen to e7, and then knight to f4. I really didn't understand the essence of this move. Maybe in this position, white will try and occupy this file and try to win black on the queen side. But during the game, knight to f4 was played. So then immediately knight to e5 was played. Now this is where the game starts being interesting. You can see, first of all, the move knight to e5 was really kind of occupying an outpost by black, since there's not so much to attack it, and then there's also this threat of giving a check here, infiltrating the white's king side, and since this pawn on e4 is really strong, but this move was like a trap. Now you see the move knight to e5 renders this pawn undefended. It's only defended once by the knight on f6, but this pawn wasn't supposed to be picked, because once this pawn was picked, it's like things went haywire. In this kind of position, you are not supposed to take a pawn unless you have really calculated and seen the dangers and the possibility that will be coming with you picking that pawn. First of all, mark you have these two beasts here eyeing for protecting this pawn. So immediately you pick it, you know there will be a discovery, because first of all, this knight in one move is gone, and then the next move is a discovery. I think, in my opinion, Emojong didn't calculate or didn't see the possibility of this particular discovery of moving the knight to c4, attacking the queen. By picking up this pawn and then I make that discovery, you'll be losing a piece, because now I'll be attacking the bishop, and once you move your queen to any other place, I can easily retreat it back. Any other place for this knight to land on will be quite good, but except for c4, which will be bad for white. Black utilized that immediately. Now at this position, white went ahead and picked the pawn on c4. So he picked the knight, and then after picks, and then now here the most important move, knight to c4, attacking the queen and at the same time attacking the white's bishop. Now this bishop is undefended. You can't save both because of these two beasts here. So if you choose to something like protect it by moving the queen either to d3 or c2, still this will go down because it's attacked twice. So white opted to go for exchanging it with two pawns, since he took the first pawn and then he picked the second pawn, and then he gave a check. This check was kind of necessary, kind of trying to win this knight back for the pawn, but here this nasty move, queen to e4, and now the knight is protected. You can't pick the knight, so he had to exchange. So after queen takes, rook takes, and then here white was lucky enough to have this fork, pawn to f3, forking the queen, forking the bishop and the rook. Now after rook takes on e3, gaining a pawn, bishop takes, and then this nasty check by the rook taking g3, then after king to h2, and then I pick up your second pawn. Now I'm very much up material, because remember I'm up 2 pawns. Your king is in a very, very bad place. Now during the game, king to h3 was played, attacking the rook, and then here knight to e5. Now here is whereby it comes the most important part of this game. If I can turn my analysis bar on, you can see right before these two moves, right here, black has a very huge advantage after picking up the pawns. And then after this move, king to h3 attacking the rook, the best move in this position to protect the rook with the pawn by pushing it to f5. But here black made the mistake that neutralized the game by bringing the knight back to e5. Now this seems like a natural move. You're protecting the rook using the knight, which seems kind of okay, but now there is a trick towards this, because what neutralizes this game is this nasty move by white, knight to d3. Now this move, knight to d3, it kind of hits back the knight on e5. Now you can't pick up this knight on d3 because you lose your rook on g4. So you have to play something like rook to d4, kind of attacking this other knight. And also, since this knight is protected, you are getting this rook, the rook on g4, out of an attack. So that was the neutralizing move. That was the most important move that white had to make in this position. Mark you, since black missed his chance of pushing the pawn, this move gave white like hope, bringing him back to the game by offering this trade, now also this file could open up. He could have a fighting chance against black. But during the game, white made a blunder. He missed the move, and he played rook a to c1. And this is where things go bad from here, because after missing the most important move of the game any longer, he played the best moves from this point forward, and he was able to convert into an easy win. So pawn to g5, creating a simple attack here to win the pawn, but that is not the beauty of this move. The beauty of this move is by pushing this pawn, you are forcing a trade, and here is this nasty move of bringing the rook to h8 and threatening a mate. So pawn to g5 was a juicy and a very interesting move. I saw it and I was blown away. So pawn takes, and then rook to h8, kind of a killer move. And then after king to h2, black found the most interesting move of this game, and that move is knight to d3, getting rid of this knight. And if I just move my king, it simply becomes a mate. So white tried to play rook to a1, but from here henceforth is just it's game over. It's game over. From here now, there's nothing much you can do. From here, white can try and place to defend by playing something like knight to h3. Instead of picking up the knight, you let the rook fall and try to defend, but you lose material and you lose the game. In fact, as you can see, black has a huge advantage. So after this move, rook to a1, it was just game over and white resigned. So it was an epic game. I really enjoyed watching it. I saw it and I was blown away. It was like those moves that when you just see it being made, you know it's game over. And as you can see, one thing I've really enjoyed about Gong is that his moves are purposeful. Whatever moves he makes, he utilizes them right from this knight to e5 move. You see, he made that move with the intention, knowing that white might take the pawn, and from there things will just go bad for him. And also this move went to e7. It really came into play later in the game. You saw as things continued, this move was necessary. If this move hadn't been played, he wouldn't have converted it the way he converted the game. So a lot of inaccurate moves from white. He's an IM, one of the best from Uganda and East Africa at large, but in this particular game he didn't play quite well, and black was able to make him pay for his misdeeds. So the game continued pretty well. I just loved how the conversion was made. Really easy, really smooth, picking up everything, and then here white had a chance to utilize to come back to life, or rather try to play for a win, but he missed this important move, knight to d3, and instead he played this costly move, rook a to c1, and after that it was just a matter of simple conversion by black, and black was able to win the game fairly and squarely and neatly. This game, I really loved it. So thanks for watching. If you made it this far, consider subscribing, sharing it with your friends, comment, like. Let me hear from you, and bye bye for now. See you in my next recap.